Small business is about courage, risk-taking, independence, and we small business owners are survivors. Everybody has an idea for a business, but how do you take that idea from mind to market? This is the place to learn.
Small Business School.
It's a new kind of school. Together we'll learn about business from the inside out, from the people who've done it. We'll meet the men and women who are today's pioneers and quiet heroes. Their lives are the textbooks. Our classroom is the world.
Small Business School is made possible by support from the United States Postal Service, delivering the promise to America's 23 million small and growing businesses. There's no wait at the post office in your own office. USPS.com is waiting for you. And by Microsoft.
We see you building a new company from an old company. We see a business full of potential. We're inspired to create software that helps you reach it.
Hi, I'm Hattie Bryant, and welcome to Small Business School. If you want to grow the business you have, or if you want to start a business, stay with us for the next 30 minutes. In addition to meeting the Small Business Person of the Year from the state of California, you'll hear from our viewers, and an expert in direct marketing will be here with money-saving tips for finding new customers. Every week on Small Business School, we take you inside a master class. This is not a traditional class with a teacher, textbook, and tests. This is an experience. You'll learn from a veteran small business owner who has already done what you want to do, be successful. Why was Joe Danis named Small Business Owner of the Year from the state of California? You'll see for yourself. This business is full of energy, animated conversations, employees sharing ideas. But what's so unusual is that business is conducted in silence. Dawn Sign Press has 23 employees. Most of them are deaf, as is the owner and founder, Joe Danis. Dawn Sign, what does it mean?
Dawn, many people thought I named it after a woman, but actually it's related to the sun. The sun coming up. It dawned on me. It's a new idea.
Dawn Sign publishes educational materials for the deaf. Joe started right out of college working to bring Dawn Sign Press to life.
I started in 1979, right after I graduated from Gallaudet University. And I moved the business to California from Washington, D.C. And I moved to Berkeley, California. There I was running a bookstore in 1980, and we were distributing publications for 3 years. And I studied that. My partner worked at the Salk Institute at the time, and we learned how we could apply what we learned at Salk to developing our own new products. Then in the 80s, sign language was a dirty word in deaf education.
Why?
For a long time, many teachers thought you could teach children oralism, lip reading, signing exact English. I call it artificial language because their natural language, the language of the deaf Americans, is American Sign Language, and they were looking at it only as broken English. Only in the 60s did Stokey, he was a linguist, announced that American Sign Language is a language of its own. Only in the 60s did people begin to realize that. Before that, they just thought it was broken English. So I think many teachers had the misconception.
Today, he is on his way to $3 million in sales, and his products are loved by thousands of teachers and students.
They're quality products, and they've been helpful. As a teacher in the classroom, there's been a lot of support from Dawn Sign Press.
American Sign Language is not English.
It's not English. It's its own language. Completely.
If I say, where's the restaurant?
Mm-hmm.
That's where's the restaurant.
Yes.
It's 3 words.
Right.
What does that look like in sign language?
It's one sign, restaurant, and then you might do where, or you just acquisitive look on your face.
Joe struggled for years to bring the right products to deaf educators.
I really don't want to remember those days because it was such a struggle, working all alone every day. Can you imagine working by yourself every day for years and years? I was really lonely. It was a very lonely world. I felt depressed and negative. It's a hard struggle. But with good friends and a family, they told me to keep going. Be stubborn, you'll get there. It was like, I'm still trying. I was single at the time. If I was married and had a family, I could not have done it. I couldn't have done what I did. I would have had to have gotten a job to earn money just for food. But I was single, and I think that made a difference. It's being at the right place at the right time, with a little bit of luck, and that's what made the business take off.
Where did the money come from at the very beginning? Did you have a little savings?
When I graduated from college, my father gave me $1,000. It's my graduation gift. And I used that money to invest in the business. All of the profits since, and still today, we reinvest back in our business. And now we're starting to do projects we couldn't do before. Video editing, working in production, using creativity and ideas. To me, that's more fun than signing checks and deciding what bills to pay, supervising. That's not fun, but I'm stuck with it. The buck stops at my desk.
Because you're the president. Yeah. But you have a partner. Now tell me about your partner.
My partner, Ben Bahan, is a professor at Gallaudet University. And many people say, Ben's your partner, why isn't he here? But Ben's role in this company is to recruit authors. He teaches. He is in the educational establishment. He meets people. He knows where they are. He's the one that brings them to me and says, this is a person we need to publish. And then I take over as the president, the producer, the negotiator, the contract signer. I make it happen. I hire the people that are needed to produce this author's product. Then Ben, he reviews the concept. Is it politically correct? Is it linguistically correct? He approves of the content. Whereas I'm in charge more of the design, coordinating marketing, and distribution. His strength is where my weaknesses are. My strengths are where his weaknesses are. So we overlap wonderfully. When I first started, and we were very small, there were many ideas that I wanted to do, but I couldn't because of the money. The money to spend for developing, researching, so I had to start very small.
He finally hit with a book and video, Signing Naturally. When it became the required text for many college courses, the company actually got out of the red.
1988, I started to produce a video because I thought that video really is the medium for sign language. In a book, it's two-dimensional, but in video, it's 3D. So in 1988, we published a sign language book, and that was set up in all universities and colleges in the U.S.
That was the big breakthrough.
That was my big breakthrough.
All right, so you've built a relationship with school systems, universities and colleges out of that success.
Yes. So now when we add a new product, they'll look over it. And if they like it, they'll adopt it for their classroom.
Okay, so you're on the top of the mountain. You're totally successful.
Well, I have this small business syndrome because I saw my competitors fall, closing. It was back in the 60s. They were all failing. Joyce Media fell. I saw how they fell because they did not watch for the next wave. We have to always be on the lookout for the next wave of authors, of products. We can't wait for people to come to me. 90% of the idea people come to me with ideas, it's just talk. There's no writing. So what I find is that I go after the people, and then I'll get really good results and persuade them, you're an expert in this field, write this. So I really do work with the authors. I don't just tell them, I'll look over their manuscript. Most of the time, what they give us, we're involved with the changes, and we get a better product. So it's more of a team. It's a team.
With catalogs circulating constantly in thousands of places, the Dawn Sign order desk is busy.
Good afternoon. Thank you for calling Dawn Sign Press. This is Cindy. How may I help you?
And how old is your child? Okay. Are you currently enrolled in the sign class yourself? Okay. We encourage you to learn American Sign Language because that is the language of the deaf world.
Yoon Lee is Dawn Sign's video editor. How is Joe different from other bosses you've had?
He's deaf. Communication every day. I can express the same goals, the same feelings, the same dreams. We know what deaf people need. We work together because we know, basically, what ASL means to the two of us.
Thank you. Is it real important to you to hire as many deaf employees as you can and only use the hearing persons to sort of take care of telephones and that kind of thing?
Well, I hate to say it, but in the past, having fluent signers that have a good attitude, that work in the deaf field, that was important to me. But I couldn't find people who were skilled if I looked at it that way. So I realized that I can't hire a deaf artist and settle for less quality. I would prefer, and sometimes I'm stuck, hiring a deaf artist, a hearing artist that meets our quality, and I pay to get the job well done. So over the years, as I try to upgrade the quality of my staff, I'm being forced to hire the best person for the job, rather than look at, is he deaf? But of course, hiring a hearing person, that person must be willing to learn sign, must have a good attitude. And if that person has the skills I want, I will waive the requirements for sign. Now I'm getting better workers, I'm getting more production, I'm getting better skilled people. And some people criticize me for not hiring deaf people. They say you should hire deaf people for this, but the quality suffers.
You said there are about 1 million Americans who live like you do in a deaf world. Do you feel left out, or do you feel you're in a special group?
Myself, as a hard of hearing person, yes, I live in two worlds. I live in a hearing world and a deaf world, a hearing world and a deaf world. I have hearing friends and deaf friends. I can joke and tease with my hearing friends, and I can give deaf jokes and deaf teasing to deaf people. I can tease with my hearing friends about deaf jokes, and they don't know what I'm talking about. So sometimes my hearing friends think I'm weird. And the deaf people that I talk to, they're like, oh, cool, hearing slang, but they don't understand it. So it's kind of hard for me to keep the two worlds separate. But I went into Gallaudet University, and that's where I realized I can live in both. I don't have to be in one world. I can live in both worlds. So ever since then, I live in both worlds with the understanding that my hearing friends sign.
Joe knows his biggest current problem is too much revenue from one product. They are hard at work to produce their next bestseller.
For most people's ideas are good ideas. They're cute, but we want them to be more instructional. So we realize that we have to develop to fill in gaps. From distributing, from marketing, if we can find out what's needed out there. And we also see current publications and realize we could do better at them. Like their sign language dictionaries. We're developing one too. But we think that it's a real sign language dictionary. So what you see, we're trying to improve on. And most of the time, our ideas are one of a kind. Which is why they say, There's no worries. No one can copy us. There's too much work. It takes too long. It's one of a kind. In the past, we did 1 or 2 books every year. Now, we're able to do maybe 3 to 5 books a year, and maybe 5 to 10 videotapes a year. So the best years are just ahead of us. We bought our own equipment. Thanks to technology, the little guys can now do just like you, just like your crew. 5, 10 years ago, couldn't do it. Only Hollywood could do it. Only the big guys could. So it's really wonderful to see that we now can. And people using the web page, they're designing their own. Before you had to hire someone. And I'm seeing the same kind of thing with multimedia. Only the big guys can. But give me 5 years, and I bet you'll be doing multimedia.
With an SBA-backed loan, Don Sign was able to stop paying rent and buy a building which has plenty of room for growth.
Good afternoon, Don Sign Press. This is Sandy.
I'm renting out half the building so that if we grow, I can kick them out and take over that space without having to move again.
You don't mean if you grow. You mean as you grow. Can you imagine what it might be like not to hear your mother's voice or never hear music? Joe is a success because he's part of the community he's serving. He is the customer, so he's able to compete with the huge publishers. Sign language is its own language, and there's much controversy about how deaf individuals learn best. Joe has taken a progressive stance. He believes the deaf should learn their natural language, sign language, before they learn English. You might say he is up against the establishment. However, he attended the country's most advanced university for the deaf, Gallaudet, and he is fortified by research from the Salk Institute and by the results his teaching methods achieve. Therefore, he stays the course for revolution. He confesses, had he known how hard his struggle would be, he wouldn't have done it. But the world is better because he did.
At smallbusinessschool.org, there is self-help study for people who want to start a business and for those who want to grow the business they have. To learn more about this episode, choose the overview. You can read every word you're hearing today when you choose the transcript and go deeper with the case study. There's streaming video and access to interactive study guides throughout the site.
All my life, I have wanted to own a business because of my father. My father's family, his father, his parents, uncles, cousins, and on my mother's side, her parents, brother, all of them owned their own businesses. And that's Alabama and Texas. And they were in the clothing business, jewelry business, a hotel business. They were all successful people, except my father. He was the one. They told him that he was, it's around 1932. You're deaf. You can't own a business. That's what people told him. And my dad was a great golf player. If only he knew he could be a pro golf player, but back then they told him you can't. So my dad said, I'm deaf, I can't, but you can. You can do it. Set up an ice cream business at a hotel, something like that. So all my life, I talked about what kind of business do I want to get into. He's always been willing to loan me the money, but what do I want to do? I didn't know. I knew I wanted to get into business, no question. That's when I started in publishing. I wanted to start real small, whereas other businesses could start with a lot of money and a lot of competition. But in publishing, there was not that much competition. And my dad really encouraged me. But now my dad says, you work too much. Stop. Come home.
Does he know about you being the Small Business Person of the Year from the state of California this year?
Oh, yes. Very proud. He's very proud of me.
What does it take to be a business owner? What do you have to have inside?
It takes money to make money. I'm sorry to say this, but you can't start a business with no money. You can't run a business with no reserves. my family backed me up. I was completely broke. I asked Dad, could I borrow some money? The business was really small. I need to pay these bills. And that was the backing.
Is this a legitimate business? Can you truly make the kind of money you'd like to make? Or do you just say, hey, money's not the priority here, it's providing high quality products?
We are doing production. That is not going to make money. But there's a need for it. There's a big need for it. I couldn't do that before when I was not as successful. I had to choose what counts. What will bring in the most money? You're trying to run a business. You cannot do it because I love to snow ski, therefore I'm going to start a ski shop. You can't. You have to find the demand for it. Our problem is that our ideas and our inventions are ahead of their time. So it's brand new concepts, and people look at it and wonder about it. And that's probably why our products last a long time. I wouldn't do it again. Sad to say, I wouldn't do it again. It's tough. You think that the American dream to start a business, to become a rich millionaire and retire, that's bullshit. You pay all these taxes, you keep going. If you keep the money, then they take half of it away. If you spend it, then you're fine. Then you don't have the money.
You had adversity at the beginning. You were by yourself. You were lonely. You were depressed. You weren't making any sales. You didn't have the right product. And it took several years to hit your home run. Why didn't you give up then? And then why haven't you given up now? Because you haven't hit another home run.
The reason that I am still going and still working is because I have earned too much money from too few products. What kept me going is the struggle. The struggle. I was stubborn. I had faith in what I was doing, and I could see what had happened to my competitors. And if I didn't do what they did, I would be all right. And I saw how they were being successful. They too were small businesses, and they had taken off. So it was a matter of time. I knew that if we published the sign language, we would take off. So it was just a matter of time, waiting 5 years to develop that, plus 2 years to produce it. The total of 7 years that I had been waiting, and I was so patient. And when we published it, it took off. In 9 years, I was 9 years into the red, and I was into the black in just a few months. It was disgusting. Sometimes you think once you're successful, it becomes easy. But before you're successful, it's so hard.
That's it. I'm crying.
Here's our marketing advisor, John Morgo.
Is really progressive customers are finding that in addition to print, they're sending videos. They're sending videos because they can display their product better on a video. For example, you could talk about a beautiful resort, but a video really shows it. You think about a cruise, but the sights, the sunrise, the sunset, you can capture it on video. You think about the features of an automobile, and you can try to imagine new features, but you don't have a frame of reference. Show it on a video. Professionals that are selling various kinds of lessons, various kind of learning tools, instructions, are showing on a video samples of what they can learn. And what people are finding is that the video is actually portraying that product and service better than words. And so what's happening is, and it's very, very inexpensive. You can dupe one for a couple of bucks. You can send it out priority mail for $3. For $5 or $6 to a very qualified prospect, not as a saturation mail, but to a qualified prospect, the ROI could be phenomenal.
follow up by telephone after mailing video or print brochures to customers or prospective customers. Research shows you can significantly boost sales if you follow up every written contact with a telephone call.
If you're like Joe Danis, leading a revolution for change in your industry, be prepared for the long haul, because the institutions you're up against will fight you every step of the way. We'll see you next time.
Small Business School is made possible by support from the United States Postal Service, delivering the promise to America's 23 million small and growing businesses. There's no wait at the post office in your own office. USPS.com is waiting for you. And by Microsoft.
We see you building a new company from an old company. We see a business full of potential. We're inspired to create software that helps you reach it.
If you want to learn more about starting, running, and growing a business, come to our website, smallbusinessschool.org. There's streaming video and interactive study guides. The only way we can compete with big business is to be faster, smarter, and better. We are the engine of the American economy. We create the jobs. Small business is about big commitment. It's about sacrifice and struggle. But we do it because we say, if I don't do this, my life won't be complete.